Jai Jinendra. Welcome to Adults Class 2, Practical Applications of Jainism. Let's start with the Nokar mantra. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Ujayanam, Namo Vaisavasamanam, Eso Pancha Namo Karu, Sava Pava Panasano, Mangalancha, Savesing Paramam Have Mangalam. Well, it's December, so you're probably dealing with work functions, birthdays, cooking, buying presents, extra traffic, and inconsiderate people. And it might be getting to you. This class has always been focused on using Jain principles to increase the quality of your life. And we can use Jain principles to survive December together. Most of us think we have a time problem. You know, if only I had time to do all of these things, I could take time for myself. If only I had time to do all of these things, I could treat my family better. You know, if only I had time to do all of these things, I could be happy. But we don't have a time problem, of course. We have an attachment problem. That's because most of our busyness isn't driven by necessity. Our busyness is driven by our identity. So when you say, I'm busy, it's actually a mask for something else, some other thing that you're feeling. You could be feeling pressure, you could be feeling fear, you could be feeling pride, you could be feeling avoidance. So when you say, I'm busy, and you're agitated, you might be feeling all of those things, or probably at least one of those things. So for example, if somebody asks you to come to a function, you could be fearful of, oh, if I don't go to this work function, then I'm going to look bad in front of work people. Or if somebody asks you to cook something for the family gathering and you don't have time, you still might say yes because that's your identity. You've always done it. That means you always have to do it. And I will let XYZ people down if I don't do it. So there's always something underneath our busyness. So which parts of your day, now that we're in December, feel rushed or agitated? The morning before school. Particularly in December or just every morning before school?
I don't think it's specific to December.
Okay.
Maybe the holiday time?
Right.
And also like work front, right? Like given we all assume that last 2 weeks of December is going to be off, so that rush of finishing work in the first 2 weeks of December.
Right.
It's pretty aggressive sometimes. Like people can get stressed out.
Right. You're trying to cram 2 weeks of work into a month of work into 2 weeks.
Into 2 weeks. That's right, exactly. And then you've got SOWs to be signed by the clients before the holidays, so that the team can continue working starting January and things like that. So it's to your point, cramming 4 weeks of work in 2 weeks.
Right. Right. And we say yes to that because we want to be seen as capable.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we say yes to things because we don't want people to feel uncomfortable, right? Because saying no to somebody makes a tension with somebody. Sometimes we overschedule ourselves because we feel like we're falling behind, especially in December. So we have to ask ourselves why. What is that feeling underneath when we say, I'm so busy? What is that feeling underneath? A lot of times we don't want to disappoint other people, right? So ask yourself, what commitments in your life are there because you don't want to disappoint other people? Can you tell me?
I feel for myself, it's the stress of work. Mm-hmm. So at times what happens is, I know that's not going to happen within those 2 hours or that weekend or something. Right. But still, because of that stress, I shut myself out of few other things that, I cannot do it, or I don't want to do it.
Yeah. We feel overwhelmed. It's like I'm thinking about that, and that prevents me from enjoying this or even doing this other thing.
Yes, correct.
Right.
Also, if we
miss, or like if we don't achieve what we expect to achieve, or not happening according to us, then actually it takes our focus.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we want the way the thing should be the way we want it. Yeah. So that's the biggest trouble I find it actually.
Yeah.
Control,
Yeah.
right? Like we
Correct.
always want control over things.
And even it is
Rather
not
than
in my
control,
control.
I think it's what I thought.
What
it
I
has,
thought, or-
it has to be the same way 100%.
Yeah.
Or what our kids do, what someone else should do. Even though I don't have control, I just think about those. So
Right.
that drives me crazy.
And so what happens when we do that, of course, you guys know that when we get into those states, it's easy for us to perform pop, right? It's easy for us to be driven by anger, ego, deceit, and greed. And it's easy for us to have those things. And so what I'd like to do is try to reframe how we're thinking about spending our time. And I'll tell you an analogy that might help you. When I was trying to get my nutrition under control, I'm really lucky I don't have a sweet tooth. I like savory things, but it's easy for me to say like no to like a cake or a cookie, and so I'm really lucky. And so what I would do is I would somebody would present that, especially around the holiday time, and I'd say it's not worth the calories. I have a certain amount of calories that I can only eat. And that cake, I'd rather eat something like a pizza rather than a cake because it's just not worth the calories, right? And so what we can do is we can say, this is not worth the karma, okay? This is not worth the karma I'm going to get for doing this. So when somebody presents us with a thing that, another commitment, another way to stay busy in December, we can say, it's not worth the karma I'm going to get to do this thing. It's easier for me to tell you no and to not do this thing than I know I have this other thing, I'm going to get upset, I'm going to get agitated, I'm going to cause violence, I'm going to be driven by my ego. It's not worth the karma to do it. And so-
how can we quantify that? So you say no to the other person. That's
Right.
obviously going to hurt their feelings, or they'll, they won't take it as well,
Negatively.
generally, right?
Right.
And so you are causing, you're going to get karma because of that hinsa or whatever you did to them, are you not?
He's saying like, by saying no, you're gonna hurt the other person, right?
Right.
But isn't that hinsa, or is it not? Because you're telling the truth. Like, I don't want to do it.
It is,
Yes.
but it's about minimizing it.
Right, but
So-
what I'm saying is that, like, okay, so let's assume for the sake of argument, you will get some karma
Yes.
for saying no, right? Because
Yes.
you're hurting them, right? But then you're saying, like how can we say that that's less than like the amount you'll get if you went through with it and you're like distracted and whatever all the other stuff.
Right, because it will always be less. It's a tiny amount compared to you making decisions later on because you're so busy. And maybe it leads to a fight later, maybe it leads to more tension later, maybe it leads to drop commitments, and maybe it will always be less.
I would actually say that saying no to somebody in that sense is actually good karma, and the reason being that if you don't say no and if you still end up doing it, you will do it half-heartedly, and you are actually doing them a disfavor, if that's even a word, or
Disservice.
a disservice rather. That's what I was looking for. You're doing them a disservice. To me, that's bad karma versus telling them no and getting good
Because you're saying
karma.
you're being like resentful, like, oh, I have to do this. I
Yeah,
didn't want to do this.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And now you can understand why the answer is it's always going to be less. It's always going to be a tiny amount that you, and that's what our life is. We can't go through life just doing no karma. We're always trying to minimize it. We try to minimize it by, eating plants is still causing harm to the plants, but we're trying to cause less harm because they have less senses, right? And so that's a very important point. We always want to be fully present in the activities that we choose to do. And we want to schedule our time and be able to say no to things so the times that we do schedule, we're not thinking about other things. So now that you may have heard this for the first time, what of your commitments are tied to your identity? Your identity as a mother and father, your identity as at your job, your identity as being the best cook in the family.
So what's the question?
Which one of your commitments are tied to your identity?
Commitments.
Would that be like work assignments or things like that?
Right.
No.
And do they have to be? Probably all of our commitments are tied to our identity in some way, right? But can we think of living the life where that's not possible?
So, but if we don't have identity, then our ego will also not be satisfied, right? I mean, we live for identity actually. I mean, if you see that way, we want identity, right? And that's why we live for it.
Mm-hmm.
If nobody knows me or I don't have any identity, then I would feel like I'm useless, you know. So we live for identity actually.
Well, I think you've got it backwards. Are you supposed to satisfy your ego?
I mean, humans. I feel like that's why we do all the activities and all the work. Actually, I feel.
Are you a human being?
I'm Atma, I know. But yeah, fine.
You're a soul trapped in a human being's body.
Yes.
So what's your real identity?
So, Atma, like pure.
Your real identity is to have infinite knowledge, infinite happiness, infinite contentment.
Love it.
And the only thing you have to do is unlock that. Your real identity is not an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor. Your real identity is not a father, a mother. Your real identity is not, I have a great house, I have a spotless relationship with these people. That's not you. That's not your real identity. Your real identity is to be happy.
But what if those things are what makes you happy?
That's false happiness, isn't it?
That's temporary happiness. Yeah.
Right. Another way that we can use Jain principles to survive December is to figure out, just like we say, oh, it's not worth the karma, right? Maybe we can use the principle of aparigraha applied to our calendars. We are committed to overscheduling our calendars. And we kind of like hoard tasks and we feel important because of that.
Yeah.
But one thing I learned at work is, especially on Mondays, there's always going to be something that comes up that needs my attention right then. Because it's like super important, right? And it always happens every week. And so I've learned to not, if I have, let's say, 60 hours to do work in the week, I've learned to only schedule 40 of them. Because I have to account for those things, right? Well, you know that in your life as well. You have to account for those things. And so,
Yeah. Sorry.
they can come in if they want.
But they don't have a class.
I guess they had a test today.
Holiday done.
They're done already.
Yeah, have them come in. Bring them in if they want.
I think they went. It's fine.
And they'll go inside the
You know, if
Terasa.
anyone wants to come in, they can, okay? They can join us.
All they can go inside the Terasa. Right now, staying outside will be
Because the
Yeah,
puja
good
going
idea.
on, so
right.
So because I've learned to leave some time in my schedule, you can leave some time in your life, right? We don't have to always be scheduling things, and if I don't have a schedule, then I feel empty and things like that. We can leave some time open in your life. Does anybody do that? Does anybody say, well, here's this empty spot. I want it to be empty. I'm not going to fill that spot with anything.
100%.
I do it.
I do that all the time.
After 1 or 2 weekends, or
Right.
weeks are always busy for everybody.
Right,
After 1 or 2 weekends, I'm like, next weekend, nothing.
right,
Not
right.
only weekends, even during the weekdays, I purposely block my calendar and I just call it focus time. That's it. Like nobody is able to schedule meetings with me
I'm
during that
not
focus
there.
time. And then I do whatever I want. I go out for a walk, I read something, but it's very important.
Right. And so we can redefine, when I say rethink how we think about life, like, oh, it's not worth the karma to do all these things. what is a definition of a good day? A definition of a good day is not mean, well, I took care of all my emails and the inbox says 0 on it, you know? It doesn't mean that I checked these things off my list. A good day means I did this without attracting a bunch of karma. I did this without causing violence to the people around me. I did this, I was calm throughout the day. That is the definition of a good day. So what would it look like if you were to practice aparigraha on your calendar? You know, what would it look like this week, let's say? If you could just magically veto the items that you've committed to this week.
I want to throw away a lot of stuff which I have been accumulating.
Right.
That's the plan this vacation.
Okay. So what on your calendars you think might not be worth the karma that you're going to get from it? Nothing? Everybody loves everything on their calendar this month? You know, one of the problems I have is because December is full of like one-off things, right? Things that don't happen unless it's December. So then I get frustrated because my schedule is thrown off. If it was like, because I want every day to just be like every other day. And so, well, December it's like, well, this weekend I want to do this, but this year, you know, I have to wrap presents. You know, this is the only time I ever wrap presents unless it's somebody's birthday or something. And so I have to wrap like 20 presents. And so I get frustrated that it's not like that. But what I should realize is that, well, life is like that. Life is just full of one-off things. It's extremely unordinary if every day is the same as every other day. Because life is transient, right? And everything comes and goes. And so that's how I should view the problem. It's not a fact that these things are disrupting my life. It is that they are life and they're part of life. And I should understand that. So you may want to, what may help is if you think about living your life with more equanimity, feeling lighter. That is, how can you schedule your time to feel lighter at the end of the day? Because that might be a productive day. Because by feeling lighter, by practicing equanimity, we don't make decisions based on, well, I feel bad, so I said yes to this person. Or, well, I'm afraid of what will happen at work, so I said yes to this thing. Things like that mean we take time away from ourselves and we don't do what we're supposed to be doing, which is, of course, Samvara and Nirjara, right? And so how can you make your day lighter?
Maybe sticking to like your so-called 9 to 5 hours, right? Because
Right.
so for example, like if you overcommitted to work, you might like, you know, work a couple extra hours at night or on the weekend or whatever, right? Some other
Right.
time when you otherwise could be doing something else that's
Right.
productive for yourself.
Right. So set good boundaries, especially with regard to work.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of baggage that sometimes we carry even if we are not in the 9 to 5, after the 5.
Yeah,
So I
100%.
think that's one of the keys on like how to minimize that and just like, you know, draw those lines
Right.
where, you know, you're able to focus on one thing at a time.
And the boundaries include mental boundaries. Yeah, not just not doing the work, but not thinking about the work.
Yeah. That happens all the time, right? Like even if you stop at 5, you're still thinking about work, and then your spouse is complaining you're not listening because
Right.
you're thinking about work.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good point.
And last time we learned that we live life in moments, right? And each one is precious. And so when we think about work while we're talking with somebody else, we're not fully present there with that person. And we're not fully present with our attention. And we let those moments go, those precious moments, right? Well, what does productivity mean to you?
Ratio of output to effort.
I mean, being efficient with what you're doing.
Exactly.
So being efficient, using your time efficiently, or using your energy efficiently?
Sure.
Yeah.
Both.
Right, right.
I think as time passes, I have realized that there is no benefit in multitasking, and many times when you focus
Absolutely.
on one thing, like you kind of get it done.
Right,
So I personally am like going through that transition where I don't try to do many things at a time,
right.
like just do one thing properly, and then at the end of it I might feel that okay, this was a productive 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. So how can we use that to decrease the karma that is attaching to our soul? Because that, we want to reframe it as that is being a productive day, right? So, well, we can use our energy efficiently. We can focus when it's time to focus on Sangha and Nirjara. We want to rethink our life and make it so that the definition of a productive life aligns with our goal of achieving moksha. Because one of the problems is we have said our productivity, which is what we define as a good day or as a successful day, and really, by extension, a successful life, is measured in the work I got done, is measured in the money I've made, maybe, is measured in my relationships with X amount of people, is measured in all these different things that don't align with what we know to be true. So we want to bring those into alignment. That the definition of a good day, and by extension, the definition of a good life, is less violence, less lying, more focus on getting rid of the karma that's attached to your soul, more focus on stopping karma from attaching to your soul. So how do we do that?
If you have major goals, like not small, like I have to organize the kitchen or I have to keep the cups on the right, we can ignore that because it's not going to make big difference in your life. But if
Right.
you have a major goal, like I'm going to be peaceful for this hour and just focus on that. Sometimes you can ignore small things, even if you don't do it, it's okay, but focus on major goals.
Right. Goal setting is a great way to do that. When we set goals, which all of you have done, we break out the goal sheet and we write down the piece of paper. That's a great way to make sure that what your spiritual goals are aligns with what you think is a productive day, what you define productivity to be. And so what do we tell our kids about the disasters that can occur when we overschedule? Are our kids overscheduled? Anybody's kids overscheduled?
Almost always. I think.
Yeah? They got what, like school and then piano and then sports and then maybe if they're lucky we talk about Jainism for an hour before Patsala class. Is there a way that we can teach our kids to not be overscheduled?
Aren't we the ones that are overscheduling them?
That's right. We're in charge of their schedule. It's our fault they're overscheduled. Why are we overscheduling them? Because we're scared. Well, we want them to have a happy life. And we want them to experience different things. And we know they don't. We know they fritter away the time that they have. And we wish we had that kind of time to do piano. We wish we had the time to do the reading. We wish we had the time to go play the sports every day. But what does a productive day for them look like? The same as a productive day for us. How much violence did they commit that day? How many times did they lie that day? We're scared of our kids falling behind at school because other kids do that. You know, sometimes our kids say, well, so-and-so does this and I want to do that. And we're scared because we're not scared. Sometimes we feel like, oh, we didn't get this opportunity. We want to give this opportunity to them. And so we say, yeah, let's do it. Instead of talking about commitments and overscheduling. We're scared to spend time with our children because the time that we spend with the children is not good. It's fighting. So if we keep them busy with extracurricular activities, then that's less time we have to spend with them. Questions or comments?
But I don't know whether it's related to this or not, but if you keep a high goals in life, then all things are very difficult to follow anyway, right?
If you have high goals in life, like what?
I mean, say, I want to build my business, or I want to be a millionaire, or
Right.
I want to do this, then we actually forget all these things and then we have to follow what we have to follow, right? I mean,
That's right.
I mean, we lose our sleep, we lose all this, what we are learning, because if I follow all this thing, then I don't know, I would be very peaceful life, I would have peaceful life, but I would not have what society has created to, to achieve and then become something. So,
Right.
I mean, all this is good to follow, but if you have high goals, I don't know how we would be able to accommodate these things.
Right. And so we talked about goal setting. And when we set the goals, we have to make sure they're the right goals. So if you have high goals, like let's say your goal is you want to be a millionaire, well, you have to talk about why that is. And so see if that is compatible with your spiritual goals. And are you doing it for society or are you doing it for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, once I start, I'm able to differentiate that. The path is clear, but that's what I'm saying. I'm in a society and I have to follow.
Yeah, and that's our whole struggle as lay people, is that we're in both worlds, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we get jealous of sadhu sadhvi. Well, they can do that. They can afford to do that. They don't have to have a job. But you don't have to have a job right now either.
Yeah, focusing on the right goals, that's the key.
There's always this tension of, well, I'm in this society. Well, I want to focus on my soul. Well, I have a family. I have to make sure I raise my kids properly. I have to make sure I keep up all my relations, right? Well, I have to make money to participate in this society. Well, and I'm not saying that I don't do that. I have the same goals. I got to go to work on Monday, tomorrow, right? And so that is the tension. Whereas this is pulling me this way, and this is, I know what to be right, is I want to do these other things. And that's what we're talking about, overscheduling in December.
So I just wanted to bring up a point, right? I was reading a book and it mentioned that you can have a lot of things in life and do a lot of things in life, just not all at the same time.
Right.
And that put a lot of perspective in what I try to do. I am always an overscheduler. So it just told me that I cannot be a good mom, spend 2 hours with my kids, yet do this and that, right?
Right.
Maybe the time for that comes later, because the time for spending 2 hours with my kids is now and not
Right.
later. So just that helps in scheduling as well.
Sure. And there'll be more time for you to do Samvar and Nirdra when their kids have lives of their own, after they have jobs of their own and all of that. So that's why generally we say the first third, the second third, and the last third, right? We focus on the truth, but we focus on Jainism, we focus on our soul in the last third of our life. But we should try not to. We should try not to use that as an excuse to not do that now. So tell me about your December. Tell me about what's going on in your life.
We're hosting a bunch of people
Yeah.
and also planning, as usual, last minute outings.
Right.
Always goes with us. Same way, like literally, if we were to go to Colorado, it will be 1 week in advance. We are not like 6 month schedulers. Like, hey, 6
Right.
months before we'll probably go to Colorado next week.
Yeah.
So that's how it is for us. So it's some of the things are planned because some people are coming to our house. We are hosting them and stuff. But otherwise, it will be all impromptu
Okay.
trips.
Usually buying gifts.
Yeah.
That one's tough because you don't know what the kids want, but everybody want. Well, you gotta reciprocate. If you're giving something, you're giving
Right.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that might cause some heartache, right?
Yeah, it's not stress, but it is.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can call it stress. No problem. It's okay to call it stress. Yeah, it is stressful. You know, what to pick out, how it might be received, am I spending the right amount of money?
Yeah.
It's a lot of decisions to make.
So one debate that I was having with my daughter, she's 12 years old. There's this whole secret Santa thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then their school has given them a limit that it could be anywhere between $15 to $50
Mm-hmm.
gifts.
Wow, that's a big range.
Yeah.
It's a big range, right?
Yeah.
And that's why she was like, and she's got a partner, like a pair, like she paired with somebody. That person buys for her, and she buys for that person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm giving her a budget. Like she's like, okay, 50 is the maximum, so we have to hit 50. I'm like, no. And she's
Because
like,
what if
"Fine."
that other person does 50 and I did 15?
Exactly, right? And vice versa, right?
Right.
And then my point to her was that, is that other person a needy person? Does that person need it? If you ask for $500 from me, and if you're giving to somebody who's needy, I will blink of an eye, I'll give you $500.
Mm-hmm.
But this other person that you've been paired with, they don't need that stuff, you know. So that's the debate I'm having with her.
Right.
But I'm sure I'm going to lose it. But I want to make her realize though that there is a lot of happiness in giving. But then again, to your point, should there be differentiation between, like how you said, setting up the right goals? In the same way, should giving be also categorized by giving it to the right needy people? That is the debate that I'm having with her, because she technically says that you're talking about giving, I'm still giving. But my debate is, are you giving it to somebody who actually needs it? So that's the debate we are having with her. I don't know what your guys' perspective is. How would you guys handle a situation like that?
I would say, okay, the range is 15 to 50. I understand you're looking at 50, which is the max range, but there is a number called 15, right?
Correct.
So let's meet halfway
Right.
somewhere. Let's first check out what that person likes,
Right.
and then let's check out on the prices, and let's meet somewhere halfway.
Yeah.
You can ask for 2-3 options from that person if you want, but it's a secret Santa. So again, yeah, in that case, birthdays I do that, but yeah, secret Santa, maybe she knows what that person likes
Yeah.
to an extent. So let's go that route.
It's also the value of the thing you're getting. Like something you can use for a whole year versus something that's going to be done in one day, right?
Right.
So the value, even if it costs $15, but if you can use it for a whole year,
You
is
do.
worth more than something that's $50 that you just use in
I
one
like
time
that.
and it's done.
The utility of
Yeah.
what you're
It's the value of the item you're getting.
The
Think of it
utility,
that way.
yeah. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
that's a good point.
Yeah, I like that.
Or maybe get them an experience, like ticket to something.
Right.
Then they will get an experience instead of this item that they might throw in the corner.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. When you talking about donation, right? We talked about giving in form of donation, clearing the clutter up in the house. That's another good one to focus on this December.
Right.
Yeah.
focus on charity.
It was on charity. So.
Right. And now's a great time to teach our kids about charity. That is, well, if you're getting money, then you divide it into piles, and one of the pile is donation pile, right? And so if they get used to doing that, then they'll get used to doing it as adults. And especially if you show that you are doing that too. Other challenges we're facing this December.
Sure, it's about. I'm sure mostly everybody's. As I feel like I'm the one who's talking here, but food, how do you control your
Right.
food intake?
Right.
Again, I'm lucky like you. I don't have a sweet tooth either, so that helps. But I'm sure a lot of folks actually struggle with that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I do. I have a very sweet tooth. I cannot be away from cakes and ice creams. So whenever I used to go to weddings back in India also, I would be having just like dal rice or something for the dinner, and then all desserts had to be tasted.
So that's one of my uncle. Whenever I used to go in India to marriages and I would eat dal rice or something, he says, "What are you doing? Focus on the main items. Go gulab jamun, ice cream." He would literally eat only those things. He would say, "Ras malai. When you get at home, dal rice. You get at home. What are you doing?"
That's hilarious.
So there's a couple things we might do. First, if we know we're going to be put into a situation where we're tempted, we can prepare ahead of time. We can think about what we're going to do, visualize ourselves saying no to that and how we're feeling. Another thing we can do is we can think about the last time we overate and how bad we felt after that.
Exactly.
And say, oh, I don't want to do that again. Another thing we can do is limit ourselves to just the one item. Because the problem is there are so many items. And so we can say, hey, that's great, I'm just going to have one of the items for myself, and I'm going to be present and enjoy it fully, and that will be my item for that day. So there's a couple of ways we can do that. There's a couple of ways that might work for you.
Yeah, prepping your mind beforehand is a good tip. But luckily I'm blessed, I never overate it, but yes, I have to little bit have of everything.
Yeah.
That's where the whole concept of identity comes into picture, right? Like if you slowly build an identity of keeping yourself fit and fine and eating healthy food, then automatically it starts converting into having some form of habits and having some form of guilt if you're doing something that is outside your identity, right?
Yes.
For me, biggest challenge I feel is keeping kids busy for 2 weeks and keeping
Right.
That's a good
because
Right.
otherwise you don't want them to go on devices. Your work is going on and off because we don't have like a 2 weeks off, right? We
Right.
have in between work and then off. So it's very hard to keep them busy for 2 weeks because especially all their friends are either going or this and that, so they don't have anyone to play or something like that. So, and then if someone else in schools all, so like my son always like, let's go. I said, what happened? He says in January when we go back to school, teacher asked us, where did you go? So we have to go somewhere because otherwise I don't have anything to tell.
Yeah.
So that is also that thing is there, peer pressure saying that what am I going to say?
Yeah.
Like that.
So one of the problems that kids have these days is that we don't allow them to be bored. No kid has ever been bored that's growing up in these days like we were bored growing up.
Yeah.
And one thing you might want to do is to let them be bored. Another thing you might want to do is when they ask to go to different places is we might want to use that as a teaching moment, right? To tell them about, well, we don't have to keep up with other people. And you can, if a teacher asks you, where did you go? You can say, I didn't go anywhere, and there's no shame in that. Another thing that we can do is when we feel like we have an obligation to keep kids busy, just like we talked about, well, there's a feeling underneath that. What feeling is underneath you wanting to keep the kids busy? Is it because you don't want them to bother you while you're working? Or is it because you feel like they're wasting their time, or is it because what drives that?
Mostly, I guess.
Just feel stress about their sitting. And another thing, see, I tell not only the kids, even in saying vacation, we are not going anywhere or we are not invited anywhere, and we see social media, we feel like, oh man, you know what, nobody's inviting us or we are inviting anyone. So
Right.
we feel that they also have the same thing and they feel it. So we feel like we want them to feel that also. I know that that feeling is wrong, but also, okay, we are doing something, or you know, I have to show something.
Yeah.
And so that feeling, because we don't want them to feel that, oh, you know what, we don't do anything, everyone else does something. That feeling actually drives me that, okay, let's do something, or keep you guys busy, or let's go for this experience and this and that.
Yeah, so it's a kind of a projection, and also you care about them, you love them,
Yes,
you don't want them to
exactly,
be unhappy or
exactly.
look back on their childhood and feel like it was unhappy.
It's
right?
like when I was a kid, my friend would get a bike and I wouldn't get a bike. I would like keep crying, see,
Right.
what a bike. So
Right.
same way that feeling is nowadays. It's like higher level expectation that hey, we should go here, we should go here.
Right, right. So let's try not to project our insecurities onto our children. They have enough of their own insecurities. Let's not try to project our own onto them.
But
And-
like what, of course I didn't do it much, like, but an ideal parent will do, I will take them to for volunteering, gardening.
Yeah.
So I put on the plants and it grew this much. And it took that process, or while volunteering, this happened, and you know where it goes. So they can explain that to the teacher. That will be the unique thing they did, other than just going for Europe trip or something like. It gets boring because everybody's doing that. But when you do something unique and which adds more value to your day, that will be more proud thing for kids.
No, that's why they say, right, join the group where your wavelength and thoughts matches, like something like that, you know. So yeah.
And it's also about how we project about the activity, right? If like today's Sunday, all of us came to the temple, right? If kids go to the school tomorrow and the teacher asks them what did you do over the weekend, do they think going to a birthday party was, you know, more fun than actually coming to the temple? Like how greatly we value the experience of coming to the temple and how we talk about it with kids, right? Could be even just going to the park. So that activity or experience might become a big deal for the kids, like we went somewhere as a family versus did we go watch a movie or go to a birthday party. I think that might, like my goal over the holidays is to like improve the quality of my interactions with everybody, right? Like that's like a personal goal. So I want to come out in January and feel like I actually did that instead of like, you know, going to places or having experience. That experience is something I want to go into the new year with. So,
That's great. That's a perfect example of what we talk about when we talk about rethinking what it means to live our life, right? Because not many people would have that. Not many people would decide, my goal for the holidays is to interact with the world differently. And so that's great. That's a perfect example. Any final questions or comments about anything we talked about today? Well, I hope that we talked about some stuff that will get you through December. As I mentioned, this class is about and will always be about using Jain principles to increase the quality of your life right now. And I hope that you remember that as we navigate December together. Thank you so much for your time this week.
Thank you.
We do have a class next week or no?
I'm out of town next week.
So,
Yeah.
so no class.
Sorry about that.
So we'll actually meet directly in the new year then, right? I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yes,
Right?
because
Okay.
week after that is no class.
There's no class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 weeks are
2
not
weekends.
No class.
So the Jan 5th, Jan 4th is just we're resuming, right?
No, there's not.
Week after
The
that.
12th or 13th is the
Next one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 weeks
for
off.
the kids anyway.
Got it. Okay. Alright,
Yeah,
thanks.
because the 28th and then 4, 2
Yeah,
would be
Christmas and New Year's
holiday.
basically.
School will be holiday. Okay.